Episode 65, Surveillance. Date with Little Bun. Completely unexpected, her first endorsement deal came about in such a manner. Ningxi looked surprised. Oh, can it happen like this? Jiong, with a smug expression, hummed, why not? Quickly thank me. It's all thanks to me. Yes, it really is thanks to you this time. Lin Zhizhi continued with the specific details. The game company requested to sign both you and Jiong because you're a newcomer. So, they offered a not-so-high endorsement fee of 1 million. In the end, you'll probably receive around 300,000. 300,000? So much? She hadn't paid attention to the contract's details before because generally, newcomers had an 80-20 split. Now, it seemed her split was at least 40-60. This was already excellent treatment. Indeed, the big devil wouldn't trick her. Jiong snorted with disdain, pathetic. Celebrating over 300,000. What about yours? Ningxi asked with interest. Not much, only 3 million. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't even bother with such a low-paying endorsement. Jiong said with a contemptuous face. Ningxi clenched her fists with a gnashing of teeth. Damn it, if you owe any more, do you believe I'll beat you up? Lin Zhizhi handed the contracts to the two. This is the contract. Take a look. If there are no issues, sign it. Jiong didn't even look at it and signed his name. Ningxi quickly glanced over and also signed her name. Lin Zhizhi looked at the contracts and nodded. Alright, you can go now. Leave the rest to me. Since both of you are endorsing the same product this time, I discussed it with Minggu. I'll be responsible for all matters related to this endorsement. I'll arrange the follow-up details for you later. Got it, Sister Zhizhi. Got it. After leaving the office, Jiong hesitated several times before finally asking, did something happen that day when you suddenly took a leave? Something did happen, but it's not a big deal. Anyway, everything's fine now. Is it related to Lu Tingxiao again? Jiong sneered, even my mom heard about it. Ningxi was stunned. Huh? Your mom? What did she hear? She said my grandmother, that is, Lu Tingxiao's mother, went to her to discuss the matter of arranging a blind date for Lu Tingxiao. It seems like it's been going on for a while now. My mom has been putting off everything to accompany the old lady all day, picking a daughter-in-law. Oh? Jiong stared at her. Oh, is that it? Ningxi glanced at him. What else can I do? Occupy a toilet without taking a dump? Jiong had black lines all over his head. As the two were talking, someone from across the hallway enthusiastically called out, Xiao Yi. Ningxi and Jiong both looked up, only to see two women walking towards them. One was Zhao Meixin, dressed flamboyantly. The woman who called out to Jiong wore the latest Chanel autumn and winter high fashion, a light purple long dress, exuding a noble and elegant aura. Shujimo. This widely recognized face, Ningxi naturally recognized at a glance. Speaking of it, she had been under contract with Shengshi for so long, yet this was the first time she had encountered her. Xiao Yi, it's been a while since I last saw you at the company. Are you here for business? Suyimo asked with concern, adopting the demeanor of an elder. Jiong mouth seemed to twitch slightly, casually responding, The entertainment industry is a place that highly values seniority. Since the other party was a senior, Ningxi, as a junior, had to greet her. Thus, she said, hello, senior. However, Suyimo acted as if she hadn't seen Ningxi at all, not even sparing her a glance, and continued to look at Jiong. Xiao Yi, I heard you've taken up an endorsement for a game. Ningxi did what she was supposed to do. Since Suyimo had this attitude, she naturally did not insist on being friendly anymore. Jiong replied, what about it? Suyimo frowned slightly. Why did you suddenly decide to endorse a game? Considering your current status, if you accept such an endorsement and collaborate with someone of this caliber, it will negatively impact your image. I hope you'll reconsider. Hearing this, Jiong couldn't bear it any longer and, with a sardonic smile, said, Hee, Miss Su, isn't your concern a bit too broad? Also, please call me Jiong, Yi next time. Suyimo's expression became more serious. Xiao Yi, I don't know how your agent is considering this, but with your current status, endorsing a game and partnering with someone of this level will severely affect your image. I hope you'll reconsider for your own good. Feeling the awkward atmosphere, Zhao Meixin quickly spoke up. As for these matters, Yimo has the most say. Yimo just secured the endorsement for Chanel in the Greater China region, and the negotiations for the endorsement with the Malu Group are about to begin. Sigh, I've been so busy lately. Xiao Yi, I've been in the industry for a long time. In my opinion, you should listen to Yimo. I'll leave now. Let's talk when you have time. After Su Yimo finished speaking, she continued to ignore Ningxi, slightly nodded to Jiong Mai, and left with an exceptionally noble and graceful demeanor. As soon as the two left, Jiong Mai immediately exploded on the spot. Damn it. Who the hell does she think she is, calling me Xiaoyi? Xiaoyi is what you called me. She even dared to manage me. She thinks of herself as my big aunt. If it weren't for her saving little treasure's life, I would have already fallen out with her. Ning Xiaoxi, bite her to death for me. Ningxi was speechless. Can you not sound like you're releasing the hounds? Jiong Mai began to complain incessantly. Ningxi, you don't know. My uncle hasn't even mentioned to Su Yimo that she saved little treasure's life. He just casually mentioned it and ordered someone to pamper her. But this woman is so full of herself, she always thought my uncle loved her deeply, silently supporting her from behind. She even sees herself as the next Mrs. Liu. The way she talks to me every time is enough to make me sick. Ningxi looked in the direction Su Yimo had left. If people don't offend me, I won't offend them. However, looking at Su Yimo's attitude, living in peace is basically impossible. Even if you didn't say it, sooner or later, we'll have to face off. But please, don't sound like you're sending me to attack someone's fortress. Jiong Mai said fervently, don't be afraid. I'm your most solid backing. I'd rather you be my big aunt than her. Bite her to death for me. Ningxi said. I really appreciate your kindness. In the nanny car, Zhao Meixin carefully took out an exquisitely packaged gift box from the back seat. Yimo, this was sent by Ning Xuelua's agent this morning. It seems that because of this incident, Ning Xuelua has reconciled with Ningxi. Now, she's suddenly trying to befriend us. Perhaps she wants to join forces with us? Su Yimo lifted the lid of the gift box with one finger, glanced at it casually, and disdainfully remarked, does she think she's worthy of forming an alliance with me? She had such a distinguished man supporting and protecting her, she didn't need to form alliances with anyone. Zhao Meixin naturally knew what she was thinking, so she swallowed her saliva and advised, we shouldn't put it that way. The important thing is not Ning Xuelua herself, but the forces behind her. She has the support of the Ning family, especially with her boyfriend being Su Yan. Her strength is not to be underestimated. You know, the Su family has been in the limelight in the capital recently, and there are many people trying to curry favor with them. Now that such a good opportunity has actively presented itself, selling her a favor isn't a bad idea. Although everyone in the industry thought that Su Yimo had an ambiguous relationship with the higher-ups at the Lu Corporation, Zhao Meixin, who followed Su Yimo around every day, had never seen Su Yimo privately contacting anyone from the Lu Corporation. So, Zhao Meixin was actually quite uneasy, but she never dared to bring it up in front of Su Yimo. If she did, she would definitely be scolded. Su Yimo's expression wavered slightly when she heard about the influence of the Ning family and the Su family. Seeing her reaction, Zhao Meixin continued persuading, by the way, Yimo, did you hear about what happened last night? What happened? Su Yimo asked. Zhao Meixin immediately leaned in mysteriously and whispered in her ear, last night, Ning Xuelua hosted a party at home, and since Ningxi lives in the same building, Ning Xuelua probably wanted to invite people over to step on her. However, Zhao Meixin vividly recounted the whole process and then exclaimed, such a big walk-in closet. And all the clothes were from the GE brand. There was one thing Zhao Meixin didn't dare to say, even someone like Su Yimo in the Xingshi Entertainment couldn't enjoy such treatment. Su Yimo furovet herbras, ge. Yeah, it's the clothing designed by Gabriel Elvis. Don't you also like it? You wanted to wear this brand for the opening ceremony, but I couldn't get it for you. Zhao Meixin weakly said. At that time, she had finally found a piece, but it was intercepted, bought at a high price, and she was scolded by Su Yimo. The memory was still vivid. Hearing this, Su Yimo's expression changed instantly. She glared coldly, just a pawn that Xingshi used to counter Starlight. It may be in the limelight now, but what can it achieve in the end? However, having more friends is not a bad thing. You deal with the matter with Ning Xuelua. Leave it to me. Okay, I'll take care of it. At the Lu family's old residence, Little Treasure was lying on the windowsill as usual, gazing outside. After watching for a while, he took out his phone and sent a message to his daddy, Miss. He missed Auntie Xiaoxi, even though he had just seen her not long ago. In the CEO's office of the Lu Corporation, the man picked up his phone, his gaze gentle. After reading the message, he typed a few words to reply to his son, I miss her too. After Little Treasure read the message, he quickly replied with a question mark, asking how he could see Auntie Xiaoxi. Looking at the scenery outside the window, Lu Tingxiao thought for a moment and then lowered his head to send a message to his son. A moment later, after Little Treasure finished reading the message, he crawled down from the chair and ran towards the living room. In the living room, Lu Chongshan and Yan Rui were talking. When they saw Little Treasure coming over, they immediately tidied up the photos and information of the socialites on the coffee table and looked at their adorable grandson with smiles on their faces. Little Treasure, come over to Grandma. What's the matter? Are you hungry? What would you like to eat? Grandpa will have the kitchen make it for you. The two elderly people spoke with gentle and kind tones, afraid of startling their precious grandson. It was known that Little Bun used to only be able to be alone, unable to share the same space with them. Now that he could live with them, it was a great blessing for them. Little Treasure shook his head, took off his shoes, climbed onto the sofa, and then extended his little hand to vigorously massage his grandmother's shoulders. Yan Rui was pleasantly surprised. Oh my darling grandson. Are you giving Grandma a shoulder massage? Little Treasure nodded, massaging even more vigorously. Beside them, Lu Chongshan watched with envy, muttering to himself, it looks like Little Treasure prefers Grandma. Was it because he was usually too strict with him? It seemed like it was true. Little Treasure saw it. Would he dislike him? What should he do? The more Lu Chongshan thought about it, the more worried and angry he became. He had done all this for Little Treasure and for this family. Yet, all the bad people got what they wanted. Everyone blamed him, and most importantly, even Little Treasure seemed to dislike him. While Lu Chongshan was feeling low, after Little Treasure finished massaging Grandma, he immediately moved to Grandpa's side and began massaging him too. That soft little hand melted the heart of the iron-blooded man. Lu Chongshan, who had been tough his whole life, almost teared up on the spot. Good. Little Treasure, you have such a thoughtful heart. Don't tire yourself out. After Lu Chongshan finished speaking, he fell silent for a moment. In the end, he couldn't bear it and sighed, asking, does Little Treasure want something from Grandpa? Little Treasure nodded honestly. Lu Chongshan asked again, do you want to see that Auntie Xiaoxi? Little Treasure nodded vigorously, looking at Grandpa with expectant yet anxious eyes. That gaze melted Lu Chongshan's heart instantly. He softened completely and said, all right, Grandpa promises you. Later, I'll have someone invite her to our house to play, okay? Little Treasure's eyes immediately lit up. He joyfully kissed Grandpa on the cheek and then ran back to his room contentedly. Yan Rui looked at her husband beside her, who was smiling like a fool. She couldn't help but feel speechless. Who was the one saying I had no principles and no bottom line before? Where are your principles now? Where is your bottom line? Just because our grandson gave you a shoulder massage, you agreed to everything? Lu Chongshan cleared his throat, reverting to a serious expression, nonsense. I'm doing this for Little Treasure's physical and mental health. Besides, letting that woman come over to accompany Little Treasure is not a big deal. I will naturally keep an eye on her. Lu Chongshan finished speaking and made a call to summon the butler, Xingwu. Master, do you have any instructions? You go make a call now, ask that woman to come over and accompany Little Treasure. Say that Little Treasure will be alone at home. Later, my wife and I will find an excuse to leave, allowing her to spend some time alone with Little Treasure. Master, do you mean? Put a few more monitors in the house. Yes, I understand. Xingwu acknowledged and left. Yan Rui frowned when she heard her husband's conversation with the butler. Is this really appropriate? Lu Chongshan didn't mind and said, what's wrong with it? I want to see what's so special about her. Don't you want to know if that woman is sincerely caring for Little Treasure or not? At first, Yan Rui's expression showed some hesitation, but in the end, for Little Bun's sake, she nodded, just don't let Tingxiao find out, or he'll get angry again. I think he's been bewitched by that woman. Once we find a suitable candidate, I'll immediately have him go on a blind date. I don't believe that among so many outstanding girls, not one can surpass that woman. After leaving the company, Ningxi went straight back to her apartment. While lying on the bed and scrolling through entertainment news, she suddenly received a call from an unfamiliar number. She answered with suspicion, hello? A straightforward male voice came from the other end. Hello, may I speak to Miss Ningxi? Yes, who is this? Ningxi asked, still skeptical. I am Mr. Lu's butler, Xingwu. Both the elderly master and mistress have matters to attend to today, and the young master is alone at home. Miss Ning, do you have time to come over as a guest? Ningxi sat up straight in surprise. Yes. Ido. I'll come right away. After hanging up the phone, Ningxi immediately started rummaging through her wardrobe, practically pulling out all her clothes and tossing them around, not sure what to wear. Her actions were so exaggerated, as if she was preparing for a date with a boyfriend. In the end, she chose an outfit that both she and Little Bun liked, a stylish design with just the right touch of retro elements. Although the designer wasn't famous, Ningxi had been a loyal fan for a long time. This was how she usually dressed. Money couldn't buy what she liked, and apart from necessary occasions, she didn't care about brands and only wore what she liked. When she arrived at the old mansion, a middle-aged butler-like man led her into the main house. As soon as Ningxi entered, a soft little whirlwind rushed towards her, crashing into her arms. Darling, Ningxi immediately bent down to hug Little Bun. Originally, she wanted to give him a kiss as usual, but considering there was someone else present, she held back. Not waiting for Auntie Xiaoxi to kiss him, Little Bun felt a sudden disappointment and hung his little head. Auntie Xiaoxi didn't kiss him this time. Was it because he did something wrong? Did she not like him anymore? Did she like another little friend more now? Miss Ning, I'll take my leave now. If you need anything, please ring for me, the butler, Xingwu, said. Ningxi nodded. All right, thank you, Mr. Xing. After Xingwu left, Ningxi quickly noticed that the little guy wasn't happy. She chuckled, touched Little Bun's nose, and then kissed him on both sides of his cheeks. Little darling, Auntie really missed you. Little Bun's expression immediately brightened. He pursed his lips, his little face turning slightly red, and a small flower seemed to bloom on top of his head with a pu sound. Auntie Xiaoxi really still liked me. After thinking for a moment, Little Bun buried his head and wrote a very complete sentence on the writing board for Ningxi. Little Bun misses Auntie Xiaoxi too. Ningxi felt sweet inside when she read it. However, she soon saw Little Bun write another sentence, Daddy too. Ningxi didn't expect Little Bun to write such a sentence. She was completely stunned, and her cheeks blushed slightly. Little Bun actually wrote this sentence. Wasn't this a bit unscientific? Before, when Little Bun chatted with her, he never mentioned anyone else. Good boy, although Ningxi was suspicious, she didn't think much of it. She patted Little Bun's head and led him to the sofa. At the same time, in the monitoring room in the backyard, Lu Chongshan and Yen Rui were sitting in front of the large screen, staring intently at the surveillance footage.